The BRB. Calm with the ult again. We got two Storm ults. Two Storm ults. Look at this. This is cinema, everybody. This is cinema. Cinema. YouTube, what's going on, man? It's Father Dark, and I am here today on a beautiful Sunday afternoon with the long-anticipated breakdown of the Marvel Rivals console versus PC tournament that we just had on the server last night. Now, before I get into this video, I just want to say, if you're not part of the server, just go to my main channel page, look next to my logo at the top, and you'll see where it says More Info. Click that, and then you'll see the Discord link. Just click that, and you'll be able to join. We do all types of stuff. We do stages in there where everybody comes in, and we have group discussions about different topics, sometimes controversial, sometimes just about updates, whatever the case may be. We have an LFG group in there. We got a lot of people that are really, really cool. We also have other games as well. So if you play other games, even if you don't see a channel in there for it, just let me or one of the mods know. We don't really have a problem making a channel for you all for that. And like I said, if you just want to talk to like-minded people, whatever the case is, and I'm in there pretty much every day at some point, so you're able to talk to me, ask questions, anything like that, concerns, whatever. But another thing that I want to say too as well is that I am really, really proud of everybody in my Discord, because a lot of people, we already know there's a lot of pride on the line. We're very, the kind of people where, just like with sports or anything else, we're tribalistic. So we always want to kind of pick a side and say, well, this is my side, and we're going to root for whoever, and we're going to sit here and say, oh, yada, yada. But at the end of the day, you can't take a match like this and say, well, this defines anything. There's a lot of other content creators. I know J3 and a few other people have done these before with people in their servers or subscribers, whatever, where they've done these PC versus console tournaments, and I feel like there's no set line. Now, you guys can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure there's been times where console has taken it, and then there's been times where PC has taken it. So it really just depends on, there's just so many different variables that can go into something like this that can determine who wins. So I feel like you can't say that there's one side that's better than the other one or not, because like I said, I could take numerous different teams, put them against each other, and one side might beat one side, another side might beat another side. And another thing I want to preface too, because I feel like a lot of people are going to ask, now the PC team, their ranks they were probably higher overall, like their peak ranks, but their current ranks were a lot lower than the current console ranks, which they were pretty much all Celestial players and stuff. But that's because the PC players had kind of been taking a break from rank and just been playing with people more in the server, because a lot of people just love to come in there every day, and they do custom matches pretty much like every day, if not every other day, or every other day, if not every day. And like I said, a lot of them just enjoy being able to play with other people and talk and stuff like that. And the other thing I want to add too is that we didn't do bans in this tournament because these people play with each other every day. They spent hours upon hours over the last couple of months playing with each other every day, day in and out. We didn't want there to be target bans because we knew that was going to be the case. It's different when you're playing against a team and you don't really know what's going on. Yeah, the bans are cool and everything, but when you know that these people only play a handful of characters, of course they're going to go after them. So we thought for this specific tournament that wouldn't be fair. But then people at the end said that they probably should do bans the next time around. So we'll kind of see what we'll do with that the next time around that we do that. So yeah, so now that we kind of got that out of the way, and like I was saying before too, I got a little bit off topic, but just once again want to say that I'm really proud of everybody in the server, because they all did an excellent job. And the one thing that I was looking for the most was for people to treat this just like you would with any other sports. Anybody who's actually, listening, who's played an actual sport before, that when you're done, you have to walk up to the enemy, not enemy team, but the other team, and you have to look them in the eyes, shake their hands, and you say great job, whatever, or the equivalent of GG, all that kind of stuff. And if you're going to do that trash talking, you're going to have to deal with that person to their face. I mean, it's a lot easier in games to get salty and get upset and take things personal and stuff like that. And I didn't see any of that last night. So I just want to say again that I'm really proud of everyone. And also too, before I get into the gameplay, I just want to say as well that there is no me picking on anybody here. All I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to talk about things that I personally noticed. Now, me, myself, I'm a slightly above average player at best. I learn a lot from people in my server. I learn a lot from you all in the comments. I love when you all comment and you tell me little things and say, hey, did you know this? Did you know that? I don't know everything about this game, and I don't profess to. I am not the best player at all. I'm not some guy who's out here, oh, I'm ranked number 30 in the whole world. No, I'm not doing all that. I'm a dad, a husband. I have a whole life outside of this game, but I really do enjoy playing it, and I enjoy making content and dissecting different things from an outside perspective. And like I said, from watching this last night, there were a lot of things that I saw that I can relate to. There's a lot of things that I saw that I kind of learned from, and that I found interesting. So, and really quick, I just have to give a shout out to our sponsor for this video. I just want to say thanks to U4GM for their sponsorship. They are a pro web provide Marvel Rivals bundles with cheap prices and fast delivery. They have more than 11K good comments. This website is really worth a try. And make sure to use my discount code DARK for an extra 6% off. With that being said, I know you guys are all saying, hey man, get to the point, get to the video. I know, but I got to preface some of these things, because if I don't, then people might make assumptions, and you know what they say about assumptions, right? So let's go ahead and get into it. So I'm going to play this in the background while I kind of talk about it. And I've already kind of selected a few clips with things that I found interesting. So the first thing that I found interesting is that off rip, PC team went with a Spider-Man. Now the thing is that a lot of people seem to have this illusion that dive is dead. People sit back and they're going, oh well, dive has been nerfed so much that you can't really do it anymore, and it's not as effective. And high school players are going to start using counters and all of this kind of stuff. And the thing that I think is interesting is someone who has played as a flex player, and I've predominantly done support. And from getting dove so much as being a support player and not getting any help from my teammates, I had made a whole video talking about how your teammates a lot of times are not going to save you. And sometimes it may be personal, but a lot of times it's not. Really what it is that everyone has their role. And the moment they have to stop doing their role to help with another role, it messes up kind of like the flow of the game, right? So if your tank is trying to create space and then your tank has to turn around and go backwards to help you, it kind of defeats the purpose of that tank's whole entire job. If the DPS has to stop DPSing to turn around and help you out, which I don't necessarily agree with, but in that moment, let's just be honest. If you're trying to DPS and the enemy team is trying to DPS and you have to turn your back to help out your supports, then the enemy team is just getting free shots on you and being able to advance or do whatever it is, secure the point, whatever it is they're trying to accomplish. But it just makes their life a lot easier when you have someone running around in the back line. So we take like the Spider-Man, for example. The Spider-Man, I equate him all the time to kind of like a fly at a cookout or a picnic, right? You're sitting there, you're outside, you're trying to have a good time, you're trying to enjoy your food, and this fly just keeps zooming around your face. And yeah, you try to swat him away, you try to swing at him, maybe even spray something at him, and what does he do? He flies off for a split second. The second you go back to try to take a bite again, he's right back in your face. And he just rinse and repeats over and over again until you get to a point where you say, you know what, I'm just tired of this, let's go inside. And that may not be what the fly is trying to accomplish, but at the end of the day, he's annoyed you enough to where you don't even want to be outside anymore eating your food, in the hopes that maybe you'll leave it around for him, right? And that's kind of like how a Spider-Man operates. Spider-Man, yeah, it's nice to be able to get eliminations and stuff, but if you think about it, if you're going up against an equally skilled team or an even more skilled team, however it works, but let's just say you're very close in skill range, right? And you're both outputting equal heals, equal damage. The tanks are sitting there battling it out in the front lines. And all of a sudden, Spider-Man starts swinging around. The healer's like paranoid. So they're looking around. Oh, what is that? What's going on? That's a split second that the healers are not able to heal because they're too busy trying to not get deleted by Spider-Man or Black Panther, Iron Fist, etc. Right? Magic, whoever's in that back line just causing a lot of havoc. Even Captain America a lot of times. And like I said, those split seconds, they matter. There's been times where the match was so intense that I could not take my eyes off the screen for a second. My wife might come in here and say, hey, babe, I'm going out. I'm about to go do this, or I'm going to work, or whatever the case is. And that just that split second that I have to turn my head and then turn back to the monitor, tank's dead. There's been times where I have sneezed. And in the time it took me to sneeze really quick, tanks get deleted because that was just a split second that I wasn't able to like give my full 110% attention on giving them heals. So I don't think that the dive is dead at all. I think that people just have to adapt to how to really use it and be able to think like your enemy. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about are the tank choices. Personally, what I saw last night that I felt like made the biggest difference was Emma, Magneto, and Strange. Now, Strange, we already know Strange got nerfed a little bit, but then he got buffed a little bit more again. Emma has always been goated. And one thing I just want to add in too really quick is if you look at that little thing that Black Sinatra did, which he's an extremely gifted tank player, just something simple simple like that, like clearing that bridge out so that you can kind of see what you're going into instead of having to go under it and then go into that. Little things like that are things that I don't even do, and things like I said that I learned from last night that I'm like, hey, from now on, I'm going to really clear those little pieces of like cover and stuff out to make the enemy team's life harder. But like I said though too, one of the biggest things is one of four is a friend of mine and a mod in the Discord, and me and her play rank a lot, and she used to be a Jeff main, but ever since Jeff got reworked, one has been kind of salty about that and has not really cared about Jeff because she much preferred his previous play style. She's felt like he's a bit more of a heel bot now. And I'll come back to that a little bit later in regards to the whole Jeff situation because it is relevant. But lately, she's been playing more Magneto. Now, I've always had a lot of respect for Magneto players simply because I personally can't stand playing Magneto. He's just very slow, and it's hard for me to get into like slow characters like that. I've always preferred characters that have a little bit more mobility. With healers, I kind of make an exception. But when I'm playing a tank or a DPS, I much prefer to be able to just kind of move around freely and not just kind of be this slow moving thing, which is why I tend to go with tanks that are more like Thor and stuff like that. And Emma's not too bad, but still, I just kind of want at least a little bit of mobility if I need to kind of dash out of a situation or whatever, and be able to just get up close and personal and brawl if I can. But like I was saying though, Magneto players are extremely gifted because of something that I feel like a lot of people don't really pay attention to and aren't as appreciative of. But the fact that he knows when to bubble people on his teammates. He's like the protector. There's so many times where I've been one shot and I was like, oh, I'm dead. This curtains for me. Boom, Magneto bubble. Just enough time for me to get to cover. I'm getting ulted on. Boom, bubble. And then he shields himself or something like that, right? From Iron Man or something. And like I said, this is something that I have a lot of respect for, and I feel like I need to really take the time and invest into really getting my Magneto skills up. And one has definitely motivated me from last night. There were just so many times where it really came down to just those split-second decisions to put a bubble on somebody to stop them, and the fact that his ultimate it's just way too clutch, especially with Cloak and Dagger being someone that constantly is ulting, and then even too so like with Invisible Woman and her ult, the fact that he can just kind of counter those immediately just makes a massive difference in matches and stuff. So back to kind of this whole thing with Spider-Man and support players and stuff. So something I noticed was now the console team originally, they had a guy that was playing support, and even though he's an excellent player, support is not his main role. He's actually a DPS player. So they had already kind of said, I don't know exactly what had happened. I don't know if their main support wasn't able to join up immediately, or if he just kind of was like, hey, I'll give this other guy a shot and we'll just kind of see how it works. I don't know exactly what was going on behind the scenes because I was in my own channel, so I didn't have to hear comms or anything. People in the stream said that it would be better if I couldn't hear comms, so that way it was less cluttered in regards to background noise and stuff. So I don't know exactly. I just know that he's actually a really good DPS player, but he it's not his cup of tea or whatever to play support. And in the first two rounds, because PC took the first two rounds, you really see how much of a difference that makes when you have someone like Aiki Kana, which I've said numerous times, she is one of the most goated Cloak and Dagger players that I've ever seen. Just a quick little story. She doesn't really know this, but the first time that we played, I had already heard that she was really good. And as someone who, has just a ridiculous amount of hours with Cloak and Dagger and takes pride in being very aggressive with Cloak and Dagger, I was like, oh, okay, well, let me just kind of, when I see her, I'll focus her, right? Even when I focused her and tried to sneak attack Aikikana, she absolutely demolished me. And it looked like it wasn't even like I was light work to her, okay? And I can admit that. She's goated. Absolutely goated. Could easily probably be GM if she wanted to play rank, but I think she prefers to play more like quick matches and stuff like that. Probably even higher than GM. I would say probably Celestial, maybe. No issues. One of the best Cloak and Daggers I've ever seen. And when you have someone that's that good at support, and then you have someone else who is kind of flexing that role, who that is not their main role, and that can go for any role, right? If you have somebody who doesn't play tank and they're just kind of like, hey, I'll fill this role, and you're going up against someone who only plays tank, that's going to make a massive difference. So long story short, at one point in time, I think after this match, they had their actual healer come in, Loot Man. Now, as soon as Loot Man came in, he's also Cloak and Dagger. This made a massive difference, and especially when you're talking about something like I had brought up Spider-Man again for a reason, because the whole time Spider-Man was really able to cause and be a big distraction. You see, like just in these clips here, Fade, who was the team captain for Console, he's an amazing Bucky player, but the fact that he was constantly having to turn around and kind of watch for Spider-Man and check on the supports and stuff was causing a bit of friction in them being able to progress in the matches and stuff, at least in my opinion, right? And as soon as they switched over to Loot Man, I immediately saw myself. I had to deal with getting dove so much playing support in season 1 and season 2 that it just became this thing to where the second that I heard Spider-Man or any other dive, I immediately turn around, blind them, delete them, and go back to my business like nothing happened. And that's exactly what I saw with Loot Man, was that as soon as he got on support, Spidey kind of had to switch, because it was like, all right, look, I'm not getting the same value anymore. As soon as this man sees me, I'm just getting absolutely demolished, right? Whereas before, he was just having fun, just all up in the back line, having a good time. Now, another thing that I want to talk about while this clip is up here is the Jeff Nato. Now, I have really slept on Jeff Nato, and maybe it's just me being spoiled from having bans in ranked and stuff like that, and a lot of people have really been going for the Storm bans lately. I haven't really seen people banning Jeff, but pretty much every game almost, Storm has become like the new, stand-in for bans and stuff like that. And seeing this gameplay, I see why. Now, the thing that I wanted to bring back up really quick while I'm thinking about it is the fact that as much as one says that she doesn't like Jeff, and one, I gotta kind of put this out here. I saw that once, because in this match right here, this was the third game, and originally they were kind of getting steamrolled a little bit right here. PC was, and like I said, they had been steamrolling the first 2 rounds. They were just kind of breezing through. Didn't really seem like it was a struggle. A lot of people in the chat were saying, "Oh, PC's about to take this," and I think Console really locked in, and them making that switch with getting their primary support player in there, Loot Man, really made everybody on the PC team have to actually lock in. And as you can see right here, one switches over to Jeff. Now, this is what I feel like is kind of how you tell who people are most comfortable with and who they really kind of rely on in regards to, and not rely in like a bad way. I just mean rely on, like when someone says like, look, we got to really clutch up, play whoever it is that you feel like you're going to get the absolute most value of and are going to be as most effective with. She immediately switched over to Jeff. And I think the result that we got from that afterwards is really telling of, even though a lot of people said that they changed Jeff's kit and they had ruined him and all this stuff, I don't know. I feel like this tournament kind of said otherwise, but still though, I don't think that one is probably going to full-time change to Jeff. I think that it's just kind of like we all have those characters that we feel extremely comfortable with, and we know so well that we don't have to think at all. Even like those micro moments of hesitation or having to think about something or whatever can make a massive difference when it's time to fully lock in. But I just kind of wanted, I had to pick it one really quick, because I did think that was really interesting how when all the the cards were on the table, and it seemed like they might actually lose, she immediately switched back over to Jeff. But like I was saying though about the Jeff Nato is that this ult was just absolutely ridiculous, and I think this is probably one of the most broken team ups that we've had in a while, next to like the Gamma Squids and stuff. The ult is just broken, and it was beautiful because Fade actually switched over to Storm as well, and someone on the team had switched over to Jeff. And as you can see right here, this is the moment from the beginning of the video where we had the dueling Jeff Nato ults back to back, right? And this was just a thing of beauty to watch in real time and see that. But the next thing that I want to talk about is Captain America. Now, spoiler, PC ended up winning, and we see that in the next match. And one of the things that I feel like really kind of just ended up letting them take the final win was that this Cap was just extremely aggressive. Now, I can't see his name as well because I'm looking at this from my editor, and the editor purposely brings the quality down before you actually export the video. So I can see the gameplay, but as far as the names, they're kind of like, pixelated or whatever. So I don't know who exactly it was, but shout out to whoever that Captain America was. Numerous people were talking about it. This Captain America was just cracked out of his mind. He was extremely aggressive. And here goes that clip that I was talking about in regards to Loot Man just turning around and just deleting the Spider-Man. And I'll come back to that a little bit more in a moment and just talk about that a little bit more and how important I think that is. But this Captain America really made a massive difference because he is just so annoying, and I mean that in the most respectful, polite way possible. But we all know how irritating it is to go up against a Captain America that just seems invincible, and then you get him one shot and he just gets out of there. No differently than like a Venom, right? How Venom is able to just drop in, just irritate the living hell out of everybody, and as soon as everybody's like, Venom's one shot, he pops his shield and gets like 600 health and then dips out really fast, right? Only to come back like 10 seconds later and just start that whole entire process over again. And it's the same thing with Cap. The fact that he just gets in there, he's irritating, then he can just shield, dash away really quick. He's back in like 6-7 seconds, depending upon who's healing him, and he's back to doing the same thing over and over again. And in my opinion, that's what ended up allowing them to, not saying that everybody else, this is definitely a team game at the end of the day. So it's everybody collectively working together. But that's just what I saw with that Cap at the last second of this game, jumping in and just absolutely going to town on the enemy team for freedom and liberty and all that good stuff, right? So now that I've talked about all of that, and like I said, now we're coming up on the end of this. And if you want to see the whole entire gameplay, I'm going to link it in the description. It's actually the last live that I uploaded and recorded, which was last night. So you'll be able to see from start to finish. We had I kept going back in between each round and talking to people that were in the server on the stage, and they were giving their commentary and things like that. And a lot of these people are far more knowledgeable than myself, so they were able to really break down and talk about what was going on in between the matches and stuff like that. So now, this is something that I had wanted to talk about, and I feel like it's really important, right? There is this misconception in this community, and a lot of communities. I used to hear it in Call of Duty as well, in different games that I've played over the years and stuff. People tend to have this thing where it's like this ego and pride where they go, well, a character is really easy. So because a character is easy, and in a lot of people's words, they say they don't take any skill. They just kind of brush that character off. And the thing that I find really interesting about that is that how are you going to say a character takes no skill when you can get diffed on that character any day of the week? Just because a character is easy to get into, and I'll give an example. Let's say Cloak and Dagger, for example. A lot of people last night were saying, oh, Cloak and Dagger is so easy to use. Then why were other people struggling against the Cloak and Dagger? Why did the Cloak and Dagger, Aiki Kana, rarely ever get eliminated? I mean, why is that? She's extremely good. If you can get diffed on a character, then there is a skill level to that character. May it be a low ceiling for you to get into? Yeah, of course. But at the same time, like to actually reach, like to master that character and understand all the intricacies of it, and really utilize their kit fully, there's always going to be a difference between players. Just because you think that you're really good with a character, because it's like, oh, this character doesn't take any skill, I have to hold down this button or whatever. Okay? Why do Wandas get diffed every day by me? And that's the thing, too. It's just like with Wanda. A lot of people like to sit back and they say, oh, well Wanda's a beginner hero and yada, yada, yada. Wanda serves so many purposes, just like Cloak and Dagger. Having those consistent heals constantly, and the fact that there is somewhat kind of like a little bit of auto aim. Now, it's not perfect in regards to that. Like if you are slightly off your target, it's going to miss it. So it's not like you can just spin around in a circle and you're going to hit everybody perfectly and stuff like that. But at the same time, though, yeah, it is somewhat compared like to other healers and stuff and other support players. It does kind of have like this level of auto aim. But at the same time, though, having those consistent heals, being able to know when to swap over the exact moment to blind people on the enemy team and swap back so that your teammates get that massive, 10% or 15% damage buff for a short period of time. Enemies not being able to swing away, like someone like Spider-Man, for example. People don't realize, but Spider-Man players, most of them that think they're good or are good, they turn off auto aim. Auto swing. So they have to actually be able to see where they're going to swing away at. I've talked about this. I did a whole entire breakdown on how to delete Spider-Man. And most of the times when I was doing it, the examples I was using was with Cloak and Dagger. Being able to turn around really quick, blind him, stop him from being able to swing away, and then just delete him. It could all be so simple. But a lot of people, they have a lot of pride. And they're like, oh, well, I want to play Luna. Knowing good and damn well that you don't have the aim to be able to really play Luna like that. Now, I'm not saying that there's not a lot of goated Luna players out there, but you know how many times I see Luna players and they're just struggling so hard, and it's because they want to sit there and say, oh, well, I don't want to play Cloak and Dagger because it's too easy. Brother, easy, effective, whatever you want to call it, it's working for these other people. And that's just something that I personally want to talk about. And the other thing I want to talk about too is that what a lot of people don't realize is support players have it extremely rough. It's one of the hardest jobs in the game. Because in matches like this, you really cannot depend on your teammates to constantly save you. And you have so many people in the game who their whole entire purpose of existence is to make your life difficult. Captain America, Black Panther, Iron Fist. Even when there's characters like, for example, when I play Thor, I don't try to fight other tanks. I get irritated with fighting a tank and he just keeps getting healed up. So I try to go to the source of the problem. The problem is the support player. And I mean that in the sense that they are healing everyone else. The moment that I eliminate them, I don't have to worry about anyone else being healed. So a lot of times I'll sit there and get up close to the tank and then swing right past him and just start bashing the healers. Even if I don't delete the healers, you know what's happening? The healer is having to stop healing you. And I'm either going to force out their ult, or they're going to have to stop healing you to try to defend themselves. And then you're probably going to turn around and try to help them so your healers don't get deleted. And you know what happens? Your back is now turned to my whole team, and they're just getting free picks off of you. And if someone's smart and they're doing that, if they end up getting really weak, they're just going to back off and go back. Now I'm back with my team, getting fully healed up, and we're putting damage on you, and now you're all weak. And you might have just used your healing ult. So I just forced that out of you for no reason. So really got to put respect on support players and really understand that it is an extremely difficult job. It is not easy whatsoever. You have to sit here and pretty much babysit your team a lot of times. You have to, and you have to really know when to use your ults. We had a guy in the chat last night who was doing nothing but complaining about the healers and when they were using their ults. I don't know what Buddy expected them to do with their ults or when he expected to use them or expected them to use them, but he just kept feeling like, oh, they should have used them at this time. And that's what a lot of people I've seen over time have complained. I've had so many people come in and go, well, why did you ult like that with Cloak and Dagger? Even though I literally cleared off the point, deleted 2 of their healers by ulting all the way into the back line on them and allowing my team to push up. And people just always feel like, well, I would have done it better. Okay. Neither here nor there. But, the point is like I said, they have it extremely hard. You have to constantly worry about getting dove left and right. Sometimes you have numerous people at the same time all focusing you because you are the key to them progressing. The moment they get you up out of there, it's curtains. We all know that. Once the healers get taken out, smart players are going to back off. Only egotistical players are going to keep trying to fight it out when the enemy team has supports and you don't have supports. Because it's just a losing battle. We already know that. I mean, most people, once they get a pick or two, they kind of say, hey, you know what? We're outnumbered here. Let's back up. Let's let them have that. We're losing this one. We're just going to be feeding at this point. Right? Like little things like that make a massive difference. So... But, I'm really curious to know what you all think in the comments about this. Like I said, I'm going to link the tournament in the description for you all, the link to the live. So it's just easier for you to go in there after you watch this video and click on it. Or maybe while you're watching it, you go back to the live and you watch it and then come back to this video. Hear the things that I said, go in the comments, leave your own thoughts and opinions. Now, you have to forgive me. This is my first time having to kind of like, cast for one of these and stuff. So there was times where people were like, you got to switch to the bag. It's like, brother, literally every match, it's changing. Who's playing mag or where they're at on the board and stuff. And, by the time that you hear the mag is ulting, you don't know if it's enemy or if it's friendly, and you have to figure that out. And then by the time you try to switch to him, it's already over and done. So you have to forgive, the fact that, I'm not perfect with switching. As time goes on, I'll probably get better with that. But still, though, I think it was still decent enough for you to be able to get the overall idea of what was happening and stuff. But I am really interested to hear what you all think about this, what your thoughts and opinions are. Other times where you've seen creators do stuff like this and what the outcome was. And, just in general, like I said, this isn't an echo chamber. I don't need people to come in here and tell me, I agree with everything you said. Now, if you do genuinely agree, that's one thing, but you get what I'm saying, right? I don't need you to agree with me. It's none of that. I love to hear different people's, inputs, stuff like that, and how they feel, their thoughts and opinions. I don't notice everything. I notice the things that are relevant and pertinent to me, but there's a lot of stuff that I might miss that it's just because I either just don't know or because there was just so much stuff going on or whatever. But like I said, just like with support players and Spider-Man and the different tank players and stuff like that, those are the things that I kind of notice because those are the things that I focus on in my gameplay. So I'm definitely going to be more aware of those things when I'm watching other people doing it, So, but like I said, though, I am really interested to hear what you all think. And I just want to say again, I'm really proud of everybody in the server. I think everybody handled this great. This is probably one of the most entertaining things to watch. Was some of the best players in our server who play together all the time and really know each other's strengths and weaknesses and stuff like that without being able to use bans and everything. I just thought that it was amazing. I really appreciate everybody that came out and watched the stream. I appreciate all the support and the donations and stuff like that. We'll be doing, I won't say it's going to be like immediately, but we definitely will be doing more of these in the future. I just kind of need to work it out because I would like to give some other people a chance. There was a lot of people that wanted to do it, but like I said, I just kind of picked 2 team captains and I allowed them to pick their teams. And this next time around, I think that we may try to do, because like this time it was like higher ranked people. So I think next time maybe we'll try to do like in between ranks or lower ranks or something like that, just to kind of get a different idea. Just point of view on stuff, right? Because obviously the way that people are going to play when they're higher ranked players versus what, medium ranked players, lower ranked players, respectfully, might choose to do and stuff like that makes a massive difference. So like I said, I do appreciate you all for watching, and I can't wait to hear from you all what your thoughts are, and I can't wait to honestly do this again. But that's all I have for this video. This is Father Dark, and I'll catch you on the next one.